If someone tells you they're hearing voices, the immediate medical assumption is a severe psychiatric break. We assume the mind is fracturing. We rarely ask if an engineered weapon is transmitting the audio. Look at U.S. Patent 6470214. It outlines a method and device for implementing a radio frequency hearing effect. The official assignee listed on this document is the United States Air Force. This patent provides the architecture for a directed energy device. It takes a radio frequency signal, like complex speech, and beams it at a target. The signal travels silently through the air and only translates into perceivable audio once it enters the human head. The United States military owns the technical blueprints to artificially generate the exact symptoms psychiatrists rely on to diagnose severe mental illness. The underlying physics for this technology were proven over 60 years ago. In the early 1960s, a researcher named Alan Frey discovered what became known as the microwave auditory effect. Frey demonstrated that pulsed radio frequency energy doesn't behave like normal acoustic sound. Normal sound travels through the air and vibrates your eardrum. A microwave pulse bypasses the external ear canal and the eardrum altogether. The energy is absorbed directly by the brain's soft tissue, causing a microscopic temperature rise in a fraction of a second. That rapid expansion creates a thermoelastic wave, a physical shock wave inside the skull that strikes the inner ear from the inside out. Decades later, American diplomats stationed overseas began reporting those exact physical mechanics. Starting in 2016, personnel working at the U.S. Embassy in Cuba described sudden, intense pressure in their skulls, accompanied by piercing, localized sounds that followed them from room to room. The intense skull pressure and phantom sounds reported in these anomalous health incidents trace back to physical, measurable physics. It is the signature of a highly targeted neurological strike. When military and intelligence personnel experience these attacks and attempt to report them through proper channels, they immediately collide with a massive bureaucratic wall. A recent Government Accountability Office report analyzed how the military health system treats these victims. The analysts found that affected personnel frequently face severe institutional roadblocks. They report being placed on leave, losing their assignments, and enduring systemic workplace retaliation instead of receiving medical care. We can observe exactly how this retaliation functions by looking at the forensic evidence in ICSR case number 23-00567. This file documents a defense contractor who reported being targeted by a directed energy attack. During a Department of Defense hearing, a government-appointed psychologist reviewed the contractor's claims. Despite the established physics of directed energy, the psychologist dismissed the physical evidence entirely and formally diagnosed the victim with delusional disorder, persecutory type. In the intelligence community, a diagnosis of a delusional disorder immediately trips a security concern. The administrative consequence for this victim was the permanent revocation of their security clearance, effectively destroying their career in national security. It is a perfectly engineered catch-22. The defense establishment holds the patents for these weapons, but the moment you report a strike, they use the exact symptoms they engineered against you, legally certifying you as insane to silence your report. How is an architecture of no-touch torture legally permissible under United States law? To understand the legal framework, we have to look back to 2001, when Representative Dennis Kucinich introduced the Space Preservation Act. The original draft of that bill, H.R. 2977, contained highly specific language. It legally defined and proposed a total ban on psychotronic weapons, mood management technologies, and systems designed for mind control. That version of the bill never made it to a vote. It was quietly dismantled in committee and quickly replaced with a heavily sanitized successor bill, H.R. 3616. A line-by-line comparison reveals surgical redactions. The new bill removed every protection for mental health and completely eliminated the entire list of exotic neuroweapons. By deliberately erasing the legal definitions of neurowarfare from the federal record, Congress handed the defense establishment a statutory loophole. They created a legal void where the Sanity weapon could be operated with total impunity. For the diplomats, intelligence officers, and civilians experiencing this, the medical gaslighting ends here. These symptoms represent surviving forensic evidence of a neurological assault. It is time to demand a public congressional investigation. We must force accountability regarding the deployment of Patent 6470214 and systematically dismantle the weaponized security clearance trap used to bury the truth. Review the declassified files, read the patents, and join the effort at neuropsychwarfare.org.